The US market has pushed on to new highs. The Australia one tethers just below the highs and teases with a few companies breaking out with significant surges at the moment. Gary Glover is guiding us through where the market is, what it's looking like on the cycles and the technical aspects, as well as the shares he's filtering through for his own portfolio. Good morning, Gary. How are you?
Yeah, done good, Chris. Good.
Exciting times with the market pushing on higher and higher still. We look through it and think, well, there's going to be great trading opportunities, and we'll definitely cover some of those. When you're looking at the portfolio, when you're looking at the indices, it's kind of an overall indicator of how heavily you should be invested and whether there are opportunities, plenty of opportunities, or whether it's sort of questionable time to be deploying capital. How do you view what's happening in the US indices, possibly starting with the NASDAQ?
Yeah, look, obviously all the US indices have now bounced and expanded to a new high. So I thought we might have seen a lower high there, but as I was sort of pointing out the last sort of week or two there, that the volume's pretty robust. The bounce was pretty strong here. So I was hoping to establish another short, but the market's telling us not to short this market because it's obviously bouncing and also showing strength. And any pullbacks are pretty, you just weren't seeing any distribution data. You're seeing actually a pretty robust sort of volume there. So told us just to get, let this thing run here, which is exactly what it's done here. I was kind of wary of the 60-year cycle, which did expand to new highs through this period. So that's the cycle which we followed it closely there. So that was the other option there, is for us to expand or near high here. So we're probably up there now. So it'll be a little cautious because of that. But I know, Chris, it's keep seeing those commodities there. I mean, I just wake up here on the weekend there and I see gold's up 2%, silver's up 5%, and copper's up 4%. And the government's handing out $300 to everyone, and no one's worried about inflation. I mean, are you serious? So the market's telling us that inflation's here. It's kicking on, and all the metals going up. I mean, I even saw like have a look at what Orange Juice has done here in the last 6 months. It's following poker. It's gone nuts. So some of these, the commodities there are telling us there that inflation has not peaked. So just, I prefer that. I trust the market more than I trust any politician or central banker, Chris. Market tends to sort of move early, move correctly there. So yeah. But yeah, I guess going to be a little cautious here just because the market has expanded. But yeah, so far it hasn't been too much weakness. Even like last night, the Dow was up a little bit. Volume was quite light. So volumes have bounced here quite nicely. I think NVIDIA reports here the next 1 or 2 nights, Chris, and that has sort of gone to a high, pull back here. Now it's bounced and it's sitting just under the high. So it's kind of not coyly under the high, but it has tightened up under the high there. So they're telling me here this must have sort of pop through here. So, and NASDAQ was strong last night. S&P was up a little bit. Dow was off. So still doesn't look quite ready to me. But yeah, maybe the video will be interesting there. Maybe that might, maybe it'll pop into a high, and that'll be some euphoria there. Maybe some taking might take place then. But yeah, it's just still pretty robust there. I mean, the metals, it's just, that's just pretty buoyant here. So that's for me, I sort of got probably 2/3 of my exposure in that area. And that's a real sort of area of strength there. So yeah, S&P is similar to the obviously the NASDAQ there, sort of broken slightly higher here. So yeah, look, I'm a little cautious because of 60-year, but that's the only, you can't hang my hat on that, Chris, as well. But that's the only, the only thing here. So I do know normally these sort of election years, also the 4th years as well. But like an 8% correction is probably that's about the extent of it normally. So when we sort of had that 8% decline, as soon as I saw 8%, I just knew I had to close my short, just because history had sort of said that not many of these election years had that sort of a bigger move than it. So any corrections aren't going to be that large this year, in my opinion. So yeah, so really just be careful chasing the market here. I think anytime the market pulls back here, probably that's right time to be sort of topping up here, but definitely seeing plenty of rotations through the market there. So real sort of, I think it's a real technical traders market there, actually, sort of quite range bound. Some instances, some trending, some just decent moves there. So just got to look through your chart for pick those strong sectors there, and go from there.
Well, you're mentioning that commodities are still very solidly represented in your portfolio and driving great growth across the international markets, from the commodity themselves through to the equity companies or stocks that are exposed to those commodities in a positive way. The Australian market definitely, it's a better bellwether in the US markets, the NASDAQ in particular, for representing these commodity stocks. However, we're not shooting the lights out in the similar set. We're not exceeding our highs in the same way. We have more on the market than just commodities. But before we look at the individual shares, is there anything that you're seeing specific to the Aussie that's different to what you've just mentioned to the US markets?
No, not really. Look, we did punch through the top, came back and retested the break zone, and then we have sort of bounced there. We haven't really bounced with gusto. I think when the neck high bounced through initially, like started the bullish phase there, it pulled back, for 12, 18 weeks, and then it exploded through the top there. We can see here that clearly volumes have actually lightened off here at the top as well. So that's sort of, showing a little bit of less conviction. So not seeing aggressive selling, not seeing aggressive buying there, just, a bit more range bound here. So that probably suggests there maybe we're going to remain range bound as well, just because, there's a little bit of uncertainty there. There's plenty of stocks, I think, that look overvalued here and extended. And there's probably plenty of stocks as well that have sort of come off, quite a bit, or been building bases and starting to turn up as well, starting to move up. So I think there's plenty on offer there. Just got to be looking at the right sectors here.
Well, just before we turn to those shares, if we look at the oldest indices, Dow Jones, looking at the industrials, this is now, you're saying watch closely for a false break. It hasn't shot through the previous highs with the same gusto. Got up to it, but it's sort of tethering just there, just teasing over it. How do you see that behaviour? What is it that you would look for at this stage before making a decision one way or the other?
Yeah, see, oftentimes when you sort of break those big levels, Chris, like the 20, 30, 40,000 there, it normally sort of goes a bit further than that. I think Gann sort of talked about, breaking those sort of big numbers. If you go through it, you'll tend to, punch through it a bit more. If you break it, you'll normally sort of push on a bit further. So we'll expect to go, maybe at 41, 42 or something like, so, if it does sort of break above 40, normally kicks on a little bit. So, but it's, still got to watch the false break. I just think, just because that cycle is there and, the market's, look, it's not showing super strength, but it's showing modest strength, and it's not showing much weakness. That's probably the other thing there. So, but I'm probably just wary of, if I see all the indices all sort of break back down here, give a bit of a false break there, then that might suggest we might come back and retest the bottom at the end again. So, still worried about the sort of, just a lot of these sort of fourth year sort of election years, they tend to sort of, go through a bit of a sideways sort of funk through to that sort of end of May sort of June period there. So I have a lot of sort of June lows there, not deep lows, just tend to get a bit messy and a bit of a cool off there. So I still think we'll see like a strong second half here. We tend to bounce pretty, election years, market tends to bounce pretty strongly out of the election as well. So like there's certain times there when you sort of tend to see pauses in election years. So it just be, just looking for the ideal setup. It doesn't always work here, but just still think we might see a little bit of a retreat into that sort of early to mid June there. But so far, not showing too much weakness there. So we just got to respect what the market's saying here rather than trying to, can't put our view over the market there. We just got to, respect what the market's doing there.
Well, if we move from the indices where we're not getting the clearest signals, if we look into the individual shares and understand the opportunities within the Australian market, how you're identifying them and what setup or triggers you're looking for, we've got ALS on screen. ALQ is ticker. It's at that long sideways. This is the weekly chart that you're showing here. Long sideways movement seems to be stacking higher and higher. And what's happened? What's happened recently since you last put in the report?
Yeah, so we had that sort of really tightening action there, a little bit of VCP in there, Chris, and then has broken out there last week. And yeah, it's looks like it's going to go back and retest the high, which it's done today actually. So I must admit, I did read that report this morning and didn't think it was the best. But obviously it was probably better than expected because it is up a bit today here. I think we're up to 14.49 here. So it has gone to a new high there, even though I didn't think it was a red hot announcement there. So yeah, but that's all right. So yeah, just whether it kicks on and I thought the volume was pretty robust coming out of it. Has gone to a new high here. So but yeah, so it's so I didn't think it was the hottest result I've seen so far reporting season. But yeah, obviously better than expected.
Well, if we move over to EBO being the ticker, looking again at the weekly chart, we see that it went for a bit of a move late 22, 23, and then had a sudden drop off to then have this sideways consolidation where it's sitting now.
Yeah.
Sort of it's moving you up consistently higher lows and then fell over to where it is now. How do you interpret what's happening there?
Yeah, it's a pretty tight price action there. Has come back to, to a new low there. So a bit of a false break there. But it hasn't really gone to a new low and washed out and reversed. It's just sort of gone to a new low and not followed through. Often this is where you can get a reversal there, but just seeing a bit of congestion there. Tight price action there, sort of caught pretty tight. I mean, stock was pretty tight in that sort of like 31 to 35.50 zone for quite a while here. Flush down there. It's normally you get that sort of, your little spring wash out the lower, then reverse there. But it is doing a bit of work here. But only stock there. EBO there. It's in that healthcare and animal care basically. So the animal care side should be just killing it really. I mean, every man next dog's got a dog. So it's really like the area that I'm in there. It's just you go to the coffee shop there, and every second person walking in there with a canine. So it should be doing pretty well. But the price action just tightened up here. But it definitely was I'm pretty curious about. I think it should be a sector that's pretty buoyant. But yeah, the price action is just really, really tight here. So watching that one pretty closely there. I just think it might potentially be able to kind of break from here. So
the next one on the list, PLS, we've seen this one quite a few times. You've got the Fibonacci levels showing the retracement. So we're coming from the low here, which is 100, and then 0 at the top. These levels show the Fibonacci retracements as to how much it's come back from the range to where it is. You also have A, B, C on here. So we've got the A leg, the B leg, the C leg. What's happening? We've got 61.8% of the retracement. So from the high, it's eventually made its way back down here to that level, but then driven higher, and 50% or above that now. So they're the obvious things.
Yeah.
What are the finer details?
Yeah, no, it's just kind of building nicely here. I guess Chris is the key there. As does have some history. Go back. I went back and looked at it beyond this sort of chart there, looked at the daily setups there, and it does have a history of sort of building. It can be a bit of a choppy sort of stock, but it is building, high, low, high, low, high, low, and then when it's sort of trending down, it's sort of, lower, high, lower, high, lower, high. It does tend to sort of bounce up and down, so it can be a little messy on the daily. But it is sort of, the key there is to sort of stick with the sort of trend there with that, so we've seen some good volumes come in at the lows there, some better volumes on the upward drives, and we've seen the volume dry up on the pullbacks there. And just, it's a little bit of a, it's taking a little while to get going here. It's not exactly an acceleration mode there, but it is sort of building nicely. And sometimes you got to build that base first before you sort of get your wings and take off here. So still looks pretty constructive to me, and just still seeing the better volumes on the drive here. So it looks positive there, building. So it's one of my largest positions there, and I've sort of got most of my stops up to break even hand down. So I feel like I've sort of got almost a free hit here. Hopefully if it goes a little bit higher there, I'll have a free hit on the whole lot, which would be nice, because then if it fails there, then nothing lost. If it takes off here, then you get a big position on, sort of scaled up, moved into profit, moved yourself to break even there. That's what we can do as traders there. And let the market happily do the rest.
The next one on the chart, familiar name, Pexa Group. You've had that in your reports for quite a few weeks. Looking at the weekly chart, it's obviously been a good pick of yours. What happens now?
It's funny, I was listening to a few trading podcasts. I was listening to Pilbara, who was getting interviewed by Richard Moblin there before he went to Trade Line, actually. So it's come back a bit of time there. But he was talking about NVIDIA coming out of the, this has gone back a few years now, when NVIDIA sort of really took off there. I think it was up like 12 out of the first trading days. It just like had 12 days in a row, pretty strong volume, just, expecting to have a pause, and then any weakness there was just getting bought straight up again. So it was just really robust. So it's sort of like, pretty strong characteristics. So I noticed that Pexa, not quite the same as NVIDIA, but had 8 days up in a row there, pretty strong in volume, buying those sort of over the 2 weeks there. So really robust price action. So it's been a little bit of a pullback here last week. Hasn't come back much at all. Volume has definitely tapered off on the pullback here. So it'd be nice to sort of see this maybe over multiple weeks. We can track back here. So maybe come back to 14, or maybe even that sort of 1370, 1380 range back to the last high would be nice there. But looks pretty robust to me. It's sort of got a nice base here, nice acceleration. So yeah, any sort of pullback there, this is one that I'm probably looking to add to there. Do like what's happening then. So
just to expand on that observation of yours for a second, the NVIDIA and the parallel with Pexa, what you're talking about there is consecutive days of no real pullbacks. So the stock just going higher and higher and higher, and any pullback has been bought up. Can you just elaborate on that? As in, is that sort of fund managers buying or individual buying?
That's right. So in the States and stuff there, we can see that sort of big volume there over, over a 2 or 3 week period there. That's the sort of footprints of, when you see the large volume each day, big volumes there, you're basically seeing fund managers, really start to take positions in there. So they're sort of buying in there. So obviously it gets away. So fund managers are like, they're exactly the same as, personal traders of the single there. They get emoted as well. And, have limits and stuff they've got to, and will only buy it up to this price, or, so, but you're definitely seeing that institutional type activity, because you're seeing consistently heavier volume days back to back to back. And then you'll see that pause there, pull back, but then not too much selling going on, So, so hopefully we get a bit more time in here. But yeah, it does look pretty good. Just the early signs are good there. We've sort of now got a bit of a pace, broken out of that triangle there. Just this is exactly what we see. So, it's the right characteristics are sort of in place here. So, I think this is definitely one to be sort of adding to on weeks.
You were talking about New Hope coal before we were recording. What was it about New Hope that caught your eye and that you're looking at?
Yeah, look, couple things there. We had that sort of pullback there, big pullback there on the weekly, the first leg down, had a bit of a bounce up, and then come back and retest that low as well. So sort of like there's an ABC there, and then another ABC as well. So it's like a larger sort of corrective process there. Come back to retest that low. Now after that C leg there down early 2024. Now we've had price bounce, pull back, but the whole thing's tightened up, Chris. So it's really gotten tighter and tighter and tighter there. And you can see that probably a little bit more prevalent on the daily chart, but price action has tightened up, volumes tightened up, like basically sort of started to reduce there. So the whole thing is really, really tight there. So that on the daily there, that little sort of congestion there was sitting just on top of the 50-day moving average on the daily chart. So pretty constructive there. So I thought, well, this is, I knew that the third, I think quarterly activity report was out on a Monday. So I thought, but depending on how good this news is there, that's one that's going to move. It's either going to be bad news breakdown or good news and break up. And it's probably going to be a move which is probably going to be lasting, just because you've sort of got that contraction. So yeah, no surprise to me to see pretty decent moves. Obviously, pretty good result there. Sort of gapped up a little bit and then just run. So pretty big volume as well. So normally that's a bit like the game changer sort of news that we sort of see on sort of stocks. Sort of everyone's a little bit uncertain, and they see good headline number, then away we go. So normally you get a bit of follow through from those type of moves. I think we talked about the Aristocrat came up last week. Talked about that coming up on Friday, I think. That's a bit of a game changer news. Pretty positive. Very rarely just to have that one day and fade. Normally you're up and then you keep running there. So to get that good news, try and trade with it as well. I think Fans 360's had one of those. The Pexa was one of those. So yeah, when you get that game changer news there, I know sort of it's Ivan Hoff. Got a couple of little good ebooks there about day trading on game changer news, but they often do have multiple days there. I think from my experience there, you're looking at probably 3 to 5 days minimum in that one positive direction there after that type of news there. So I think Aristocrat has kicked on to a new high within 3 days. So yeah, this goes to show. So I think new high is pretty solid news there. It should kick on there. So shouldn't just have a 1 day to move and then the only thing there is obviously the bigger moving average is still sitting below the 50 week there, but the daily does look pretty robust.
And just in the context of everyone looking at the chart here versus what we're seeing live on the markets, you're writing these reports on the weekends. So before the news of today, before the news of yesterday. So yes, this is a report that you share with your clients and trading portfolios. But the last one you've got in this week's report, NEU. So Neuron Pharmaceuticals, a great one looking like a staircase. It's just shooting up, possibly game changer, consolidation, another game changer, off it goes, consolidation, game changer, bit of a curve. Throw back the time, correction in time, then sort of game changer again, off it goes with possibly another one in there. Yeah. So I'm reading your report, game changer news right here. Maybe I'm stealing your thunder. What is it that you want to look at with you or a chart?
Yeah, I mean, the whole thing's just sort of tightened up again there, Chris, as well. So, not mistaken there, the volume's pretty, it's I think the first part of the leg was reasonable, but then the last part of the leg, volume really dried up. So there wasn't too much sort of selling gun, wasn't sort of aggressive there at the end there. So, yeah, so, but you got one little risk there. That correction's probably the largest of the moves there. I think, 15 down to 10's at a $5 move. So we've gone from 26 down to 18. So probably just slightly larger than the last correction in size. I know McLaren's talked about sort of corrections staying uniform. If you get the biggest correction of the move, it's only slightly bigger. So that's not bad. It's not we saw a really much bigger move compared to everything else. You're worried about that. But even that, what they call the overbalance there, oftentimes out of that overbalance there, you can bounce and go back up and make a, say, slightly lower high. Or you can even actually bounce up and actually make a marginally high sometimes as well. But this potentially is only just marginally overbalanced. So, and the low has stayed well above the old high as well. So there's basically what they call bullish spacing between that high and that low there. Yeah, so there's definitely spacing there. So that leaves it in a really strong position overall here. So no reason why this can't kick on through here to the new highs. And I just like the fact that the volume definitely dried up on that last leg. And we're seeing that volume came in at a low, and then we had the drive, last week out of it. So pretty positive as well. So even though it looks pretty long in the tooth there, we know that these sort of stocks of relative strength keep running, Chris. And yeah, there's only really that one little element is an overbalance, and it's not the biggest overbalance I've seen. Probably like a mild one, actually, if I'm honest. So leaves the overall trend structure still in a very strong position. So still looks pretty positive to me. So yeah.
Well, that's a great one for us to end on. Is positive movement, game changer, bullish spacing, possibly an overbalance. But at the same time, it does also show us that it ran from about $10 to what, 26, more than 100% gain. So looking at from a high type flag, there's a flagpole. The retracement is still more than 50% of that range. So from a Bukowski perspective, it's looking okay. But like I said, we'll keep checking back on these companies.
What you're looking for there too, Chris, is you're looking for, like, when those sort of stronger names, they go through the corrective process, you'll see them, they'll they might get that, might be their little ABC, or it might be A, B, C, D, E, a few different waves there. But then you're looking for the price to break above the last minor swing high. So I think in around October of 23, that was the last little swing high there. So once that, So once that high was broken, that's often the trigger that we're going to go up here. So we're seeing here on this correction here so far that we've actually broken within 1 week of going up. We've broken that swing high there, and it must be around April, the lower high there on the way down here. Yeah, that one there. Yeah, so that's a good sign. So, we have broken above swing high there. So just those stronger names when they go through the correction, once they break above us, or B wave or a swing high there, that's usually a sign to sort of So nothing wrong with this picture here at the moment. So yeah.
Well, nice. Well, we've got question marks coming from the indices that we just talked about at the start. We're still finding the trading opportunities and walking us through how to dissect them and what you're specifically looking for. So to that point, we say thank you very much, Gary Glover from Novus Capital.
Thanks, Chris.
Gary's got a whole playlist of his Tuesday reports there on the right-hand side. Also, when he looks at the 30-30 list, the top 30 momentum companies and the top 30 launchpad stocks each week. Playlist on the right. And what he zeroes in on trading strategies, whether it's a 0, 1, 2, 3, false breaks, another playlist, and we'll be bringing another video later in the week of his report that he shared in person last week. Finally, over on the left is his Twitter handle if you want to follow Gary over there.